दे दीजिए वनटा खाली अछि टुटा छाड़ देबी Good morning. Let's start the daily current affairs topic. The first topic that we will take today is what the India's UPI push. Okay. Okay. So on January 10th, the National Payment Corporation of India (NPCIL) paved the way for international phone numbers to be able to transact using the UPI. So UPI when it is launched till date, it is using. Okay. So only Indian numbers were earlier allowed to do the transaction, but right now they decided to go for adding international phone numbers to facilitate the payment based on the UPI. A day later, Indian Cabinet Chair by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi approved an incentive scheme for promotion of RuPay debit card and low value BHIM UPI transactions. Okay, person to merchant in financial 2023. The scheme has an outlay of 2,600 crore. Okay. Okay. So these measures could prove significant for UPI-based Unified Payment Interface-based payment ecosystem, which has largely witnessed sequential rise in 2022. In 2022, the UPI ecosystem has seen a substantial increase, and to further facilitate it, further enhance it, government has recently declared okay a incentive scheme for the UPI system. What about the international or onboarding? Okay, in nutshell, non-resident accounts such as non-resident external account or NRE account and non-resident ordinary accounts (NRO) accounts. So there are two different accounts, NRE and NRO. We'll discuss them separately. Having international numbers will now be allowed into the UPI payment system. Okay, so NPCI has allowed these NRE and NRO account holders to transact through. Okay, so NRE accounts are those are used by the non-resident to transfer earning from foreign soil to Indian, while NRO accounts are used to manage income earned in India by the non-residents. Two difference. One is inflow, one is outflow. In an NRO account, non-resident Indians send their income from abroad to India. And in NRE, this is NRO, non-resident, okay, account, external accounts. And NRO from India to outside. Okay, who? The outsiders. Okay, so the amount earned in India is sent back to outside. Fine, that is what. Okay, so at present, users from 10 countries will be able to avail the facility. The country includes Singapore, Australia, Canada, Hong Kong, Oman, Qatar, United States of America, Saudi Arab, United Arab Emirates, United Kingdom, and Hong Kong. Initially, here the Indians number is much more. Okay, okay. Because in this country, number of Indians is much more, and the facility will be starting from these 10 countries, and subsequently government has a plan to all members of the interface such as the banks and payment platforms up till April 30th to comply with the guidelines. Before, because some formalities have to be complied by the interface or by the intermediaries before this is finally launched. Okay. The development would allow NRI to use the payment method for making utility bill payment for their families or themselves in India, make purchases from e-commerce or online platforms, and make payment to physical merchants who accept UPI QR based payments when they travel to India. When they are on travel to India, using their own NRE account, they can make these payments, which will be easier. Addressing the infrastructural and technological changes required to support such system, so some changes need to be done in the infrastructure to make this to facilitate this implementation. Currently, all the internal system as well as ecosystem players such as banks, NPCI, etc. only understand India-based mobile numbers for UPI transactions. With this enablement, a significant number of systems will need to start understanding the same, because so international transactions will be done through this UPI based mechanism, and international telephone numbers. Okay. This might also require changes in integration of the MSS services providers and international telecom networks. Under the scheme, acquiring banks will be given financial incentives for promoting point of sale and e-commerce transactions using RuPay debit cards or low value BHIM UPI transactions person to merchant for the ongoing financial year. Acquiring banks are those which install and manage a point of sale terminal or the hardware system required to process the payment at retail outlets. The issuing bank is responsible for issuing the cards to the customer. This scheme has been formulated in compliance with the Finance Minister's Financial Year 2023 budgetary endeavor to continue financial support for digital payment, focusing on promoting the use of payment platforms that are the incentive scheme would reduce cash carrying and shortage risk. The microfinance setup where cash in transit was huge and caused frauds and thefts have started seeing benefits emanating from digitization in terms of cost of cash transactions. It will also eliminate the cost associated with small denomination notes and coins, among other things. Okay, so it would also eliminate the cost associated with small denomination notes and coins, among other things. Okay, what the discussion on the merchant discount rates? Merchant discount rate or merchant service is the charge recovered by the acquirer from the financial recipients. Okay, so recover from the financial recipient of the payment, that is the merchant. It is collected by the acquirer to compensate the varied service providers and intermediary in the payment system. Fine. So see how this number has grown in millions over the period. See the amount, BHIM UPI, mobile banking, IMPS, credit card, all these, and see the share of BHIM UPI. Presently, there is no MDR merchant discount rate levied for RuPay based debit cards or UPI transactions. Stakeholders are hence concerned over cost recovery for the service they provide. Fine. Okay. So in August 2022, the finance minister informed that it was not planning to levy any charges for UPI services and added that the concern of the service providers for cost recovery have to be met through other means. The Reserve Bank of India expressed concern about the potential adverse impact of the zero merchant discount rate regime on the growth of the digital payment ecosystem. The National Payment Corporation of India requested the incentivization of the Wheel UPI and the RuPay debit card transactions to create cost-effective value proposition for ecosystem stakeholders, increase merchant acceptance footprints, and faster migration from cash payment to digital payment network. Fine. There would be a staggered approach to pricing, slab wise depending on transaction size, and it could be significantly lower the merchant discount rate. This could provide for innovation, make it somewhat profit accretive, and provide incentive to all participants to innovate further while keeping very small transaction out of the ambit. Further, higher participation in retail payment will improve the creditworthiness of the transaction. Fine. To innovate further while keeping very. Okay, so that is what. Okay, so while keeping very small transaction out of that ambit. Further, higher participation in retail payment would improve the credit worthiness of the transactors. Analytics could enable banks to access these and bring them into formal financial channels if not already there, and this could play a further important role in financial inclusion. How UPI is placed in our overall payment ecosystem. As per NPCI data, as of January 17, 2023, 3,192.70 million transactions, approximately worth 5.52 lakh crore, have been facilitated using UPI in January month. In 2022, excluding 1 month of all between January and February, the volume of UPI transactions have been on an upward trajectory throughout. As per the DigiDhan dashboard maintained by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, BHIM UPI accounted for 52% of all digital payment in financial 21-22. At present, it stands at 61.38%. So there is an increase from 52% to around 62%. Okay, right now. Okay, the BHIM UPI app was unveiled by the Prime Minister during. Okay, so the BHIM UPI app was unveiled with the Prime Minister during the inauguration of the DigiDhan Mela in December 2016. The Bharat Interface for Money (BHIM) is a payment app that lets the user make digital transactions using the Unified Payment Gateway. Okay, then this is becoming popular, and with each passing month, this is growing. Okay, and government has a plan to add more and more of this because this will enhance the digital platform in the country, and digital mechanism will make the government more easier and reduce the cost of the government in printing notes and transacting the notes. Fine. The second news is about the it is very critical one, news of concern, that Japan's decision. Okay, so Japan is expected to start flushing 1.25 million tons of wastewater from the embattled Fukushima nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean in 2023 as part of the $76 billion project to decommission the facility. Okay, so what the Fukushima power plant wastewaters? The project received the Japan. Okay. So the project received the Japanese cabinet's approval in 2021 and could take 3 decades to complete. Means total release of the water to the Pacific Ocean will be over 3 decades. The idea, which experts and officials in Japan have floated in 2016, has been controversial for its suspected impact on the water, marine life, fisheries, livelihood, and other countries in the area. It has also received flack within Japan for sidelining other options and stock concerned about the government sincerity. Okay. So what the issue is? Why the water problem? In March 2011, after a magnitude of that 9 magnitude earthquake and a tsunami flood, that Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant in Okuma has damaged its diesel generator. The loss of power suspended coolant supply to the reactor at the facility. The tsunami also disabled backup system. Soon, radioactive materials leaked from the reactor pressure valves vessels exploded in the facility super level and exposed themselves to the ambient air, water, soil, and local population. Wind also carried radioactive materials thrown off into the air into the Pacific. Since then, power plant and its surrounding have been land have been uninhabitable. Okay, okay. The water that the Japanese government wants to flush from the plant was used to cool the reactors plus rainwater and groundwater. It contains a big amount of radioactive materials. Japan has said that it will release this water to the Pacific Ocean for the next 30 years. Okay. According to the Tokyo Electric Power Company, which operates the Fukushima facility, it has treated the water to remove most radioactive isotopes. As per former Prime Minister, that the water will be far above safety standards. The government required the water to have 1/40th as much tritium as the permitted limit. Officials have defended the plan, saying this TEPCO is running out of room. Is the power company. Okay, the Tokyo Electric Power Company is running out of room for the water tank, and that nuclear plant around the world regularly release water containing trace amount of radioactive nucleates into large water body. Okay. According to some experts, there is no known threshold below which radiation can be considered safe. Any discharge of radioactive materials into will increase the risk of cancer and other known health impacts. To those who are exposed to small discharges will obviously help with the extent of the risk. If it measure expect numbers of cancer that might result, but it could not necessarily affect the impact on the reputations of fisher flow of the region. Okay, so expert expect the affected water to poison the fish. Anyone who knows this is happening will or should avoid eating fish caught in the vicinity of the discharge point. South Korea banned seafood imported from around Fukushima to Japan's displeasure from 2013 after the Fukushima disasters in 2011. Another problem is that TEPCO has not removed tritium from the water because this is very difficult to do. Tritium is easily absorbed by the bodies of living creatures and rapidly distributed via blood. In 2018, a report showed there are other radionuclides in the water that okay, so treatment procedure could not entirely remove. This includes isotopes or ruthenium and plutonium, which could persist for longer in the bodies of marine creatures and on the sea floor. Okay, but Japan's other option. Some have asked why the Japanese government cannot store the water for longer and then discharge it. This is because tritium's half life will be 12 to 13 years. the quantity of any other radioactive isotopes present in the water will also decrease in this time. So at the time of discharge, the water could be less radioactive. The Japanese government has also declared land around the Fukushima facility to be uninhabitable. The thousands or so tanks to hold the water, each with a capacity of 1000 cubic meter, could be situated here. But in 2020, authority determined that flushing the water could be the way forward. Over storage and evaporation, many experts agree. After visiting Fukushima in February 2020, International Atomic Energy Agency officials also said the discharge could be technically feasible and could allow the timeline objective to be achieved. While the Pacific Ocean be affected, there are concerns about the water body as well as the region. China, South Korea, Taiwan have expressed concern over Japan's plan. A representative of the Pacific Island Forum, the bloc of Oceania countries, including Australia, has called it simply inconceivable based on their experience with nuclear contamination. Fine. Researchers have also called for more studies to understand the precise composition of each tank before it is flushed and for more details about EPCO's water treatment processes. The National Institute of Marine Laboratories published a position paper in December 2022 associating the plans. The supporting data provided by TEPCO and the Japanese government are insufficient and in some cases incorrect, while with flaws in sampling protocols, statistical design, sample analysis and assumptions, the report said. How will the rest of the world be affected? All nuclear accidents have global repercussions. The Fukushima Daiichi accident triggered an avalanche of public opposition to nuclear power worldwide, especially in Europe, diminishing its contribution to the clean energy power generation mix. In Japan itself, the accident reduced nuclear power's contribution to electricity generation from 30% before 2011 to 5% within the next 11 years by 2022. Because the Japan government decided. Okay, so that is what, but the incumbent government has articulated plans to upgrade and restart old reactors and build new one in response to the increasing cost of fossil fuels in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war and the global oil price hike. So the government, Japanese government, even have decided to go for rebuilding its that restarting the old plants and building some new plants in the area.
ଆଜି ନିହାର ସାଙ୍ଗ କେବଳ ଅଜା କିଛି ଏକ୍ସପାୟାର କରିଗଲେ 8:30ରୁ 8:30 ନେଇପାରିବେନି କାଲି ହିଁ ନେବେ ତ ଏଇ କ୍ଲାସ୍ଟା ତାଙ୍କର ସରିଲାଣି ନା ପ୍ରିଭିୟସ୍ ମେନ୍ସ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ୍ ଆନ୍ସର୍ ଡିସ୍କସନ୍ ଏଇଟା କ'ଣ କରିବି ବନ୍ଦ କରିଦେବି ନା ଆପଣଙ୍କ ତ ଏପଟେ ଲାଗିଛି ଅନଲାଇନ୍ରେ ଏଇ ଯେଉଁ ଗୋଟେ ପିଲା କ୍ରାସ୍ କୋର୍ସ ଲାଗିଛି କ'ଣ କରିବି ଟେଷ୍ଟ ରଖିଲେ ପିଲା ଆସୁନାହାନ୍ତି
Okay. So, however, both India and China, okay, in Japan itself, the accident reduced Japan government decided to reduce the number of nuclear power plants initially, but subsequently again started adding new plants. However, both India and China doubled down on their domestic commitments. Nuclear energy an essential option for India's climate action and energy security, and India plans to expand its nuclear power program with Russia's support. So you see, nuclear power plant are being reduced in some batches, and in some country they are adding, like in India we are trying to add more and more nuclear power plants, and the share of nuclear power in the total power tally we want to increase it. Okay, both China and India both are in the energy hungry country and both totally dependent on fossil fuels, so they are also have a plan to expand the nuclear power plant in future. Then again, the accident also revived concern about some existing nuclear power plants, especially the Department of Atomic Energy at Kundalkulam Nuclear Power Plant facility in Tamil Nadu. In October 2012, police arrested nearly 2,000 protesters after they attempted to march to the secretariat in Chennai against the Kundalkulam Nuclear Power Plant. In response to the Fukushima accident and what they said were parallel between the two sides. Ultimately, Japan is also concerned about its reputation. An official committee, including scientists, consumer representatives, and Ministry of official wrote in a 2020 report, it is important to dispose of the treated water as part of the decommissioning work, taking into account the reputational impact when the disposal method for the treated water is examined. So, They have to take the risk, and ultimately what will be disposed to the ocean. Okay. The next news is an economic news about the T plus one settlement, means the day one settlement. After China, India will become the second country in the world to start the trade plus one, a T plus one settlement cycle in top listed security on January 27th, bringing operational efficiency, faster fund remittances, share delivery, and ease of stock market participation. The T plus one settlement cycle means that trade related settlement must be done within 1 day, means 24 hours. 1 plus 1 means 1 day, in 24 hours of the completion of the transaction. For example, under T plus 1, if a customer brought share on Wednesday, they could be credited to the customer's demat account on Thursday. Within 1 day, they have to be credited. Okay, so that means within 24 hours, the demat account, so that the share will be credited to the demat account of the buyer. This is different from the T plus 2, where they will be settled on Friday, means T plus 2 means 2 days. As many as 256 large cap and top mid cap stocks, including Nifty and Sensex stocks, will come under the T plus 1 settlement right now. Until 2001, stock market had a weekly settlement system. The market then moved to rolling settlement system. T plus 3 means within 3 days. T plus 2 not within 2 days. In 2003, T plus 1 is being implemented despite opposition from foreign investors. The United States, United Kingdom, Eurozone markets are yet to move to the T plus 1 system. Okay, China is the first country, India is the second country. But in the benefit of T plus 1, in the T plus 1 format, if an investor sells a share, she will get the money within a day, and the buyer will get the share in her demat account also within a day. Fine. The shorter trade settlement cycle that is said to be implemented augurs well for the Indian equity market from a liquidity perspective, and it shows how well we have grown on the digital journey to ensure seamless settlement within 24 hours. Okay. This will also help investors in reducing the overall capital requirements, with the margin getting released on T plus 1 day, and in getting the funds in the bank account within 24 hours of the sale of shares. The shift will boost operational efficiency, and the rolling of funds and stocks will be faster. According to Security and Exchange Board of India, the T plus 1 settlement. Okay, so settlement cycle not only reduces the time frame but also reduces the fees of capital required to collateralize that risk. Yes, sir. So that means the amount is available in the bank account, so it can be used as. Okay, so according to the SEBI, T plus one settlement cycle not only reduce the time frame but also reduce the fees of capital required to collateral that risk. A certain settlement cycle also reduces the number of outstanding unsettled trades at any point of time and thus decreases the unsettled exposure to clearing corporation by 50%. The narrower the settlement cycle, the narrower the time window for contemporary insolvency bankruptcy to take up. The capital blocked in the system to cover the risk of trades will get proportionately reduced with the number of outstanding unsettled trades at any other point of time. Systematic risk depends on the number of outstanding trades and a concentration of risk at critical institutions such as the CCP and becomes critical when this magnitude of outstanding transaction increases. According to SEBI, in this era of increasing trade volumes, a certain settlement cycle will help in reducing systemic risk. Why are foreign investors opposed? Okay, so they are opposing. Uh, so foreign investors are against SEBI's T plus one proposal and have written to the regulator and the finance ministry about the operational issue faced by them as they operate from different geographies. The time limit is different because 24 hours there is a time gap and that makes them inconvenient. Among the issue raised by them were the time zone differences, information flow processes, and foreign exchange problem. They would also find it difficult to hedge their net Indian exposure to dollar terms at the end of the day under the T plus one system. In 2020, SEBI deferred the plan to have the trade settlement cycle to one day T plus one following opposition from the foreign investors. But again, as SEBI has decided, so these foreign investors have raised their concern. Okay. Then the next news is about the Padma Awards. Okay. So the Padma Award 2023 were announced by the Indian government on the eve of the 74th Republic Day. President Draupadi Murmu. Okay. So 2 hours. The Bharat Ratna and the Padma Vibhushan were first instituted in 1954 as India's highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna and Padma Vibhushan. The latter had three classes, Pehla Varg, Dusra Varg and Tisra Varg. In 1955, these were subsequently named as Padma Vibhushan and Padma Bhushan. Okay. So Padma Vibhushan, Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri respectively. So three category in Padma Award, Padma Vibhushan, Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri awards. Okay, and highest is the Bharat Ratna and declared on the Republic Day. While the Bharat Ratna is treated as the exceptional award with only 45 Bharat Ratna being handed over till date, Padma Award are annually conferred to deserving civilians, except for interruptions in 78, 79 and between 93 and 97. Every year, due to the case pending in the Supreme Court, every year the names of the recipient were announced on Republic Day. Typically, not more than 120 awards are given in a year but this does not include posthumously awards or awards given to NRI and foreigners. While the award is normally not conferred posthumously, the government can consider posthumous felicitation in exceptional circumstances. Okay. Okay, the award are presented by the President of India, typically the Rashtrapati Bhavan, in a separate function declared on the Republic Day, but subsequently function is held in the Rashtrapati Bhavan to award the awardees. The award do not get any cash reward, but a certificate which is signed by the President, apart from a medallion which they can wear at public and government functions. The awards are, however, not a conferment of title and honor. While the Padma awardee can be given a higher award, Padma Shri award can receive Padma Bhushan or Padma Vibhushan. This can only happen after 5 years of the conferment of the previous awards. The awards are given in certain selected category, which includes art, social work, public affairs, science, engineering, trade and industry, medicine, literature, education, civil service and sports. Awards are also given for propagation of Indian culture, protection of human rights, wildlife protection, among others. Eligible to the Padma Awards, all persons without distinction of race, occupation, position, or sex are eligible for these awards. However, government servants, including those working with PSU, except doctors and scientists, are not eligible for these awards. The awards seek to recognize work of distinction and is given for distinguished and exceptional achievement or services in all the fields, activity, and disciplines. According to Padma Award selection criteria, the award is given for special service and not just for long service. This could not be merely excellence in a particular field, but the criteria has to be excellence plus. Okay. The process of selection, any citizen of India can nominate a potential recipient. One can even nominate one's own self. All nominations are to be done online, where a form is to be filled along with details of the person or the organization being nominated, and 180 words essay detailing the work done by the potential awardee is to be also to be submitted for the nomination to be considered. The government opens the Padma Award portal for nomination of an individual is among the main considerations. All nominations received for Padma Awards are placed before the Padma Award Committee, which is constituted by the Prime Minister every year. The Padma Award Committee is headed by the Cabinet Secretary and includes Home Secretary, Secretary to the President, and 4 to 6 eminent persons as members. The recommendations of the committee are submitted to the Prime Minister and the President of India for approval. Once a preliminary selection is made, the antecedents of the selected awardee are verified using the service of central agency to ensure nothing untoward has been reported or come on record about them. Okay. Okay, before this is national award. The final list is then prepared and announced by the government. Fine. Can the Padma Award be refused? While explicit consent is not sought from the awardee, that means prior consent, before the final list is announced, they receive a call from the Ministry of Home Affairs. If they do not seek to receive the award, they can refuse at that time and their names will be removed without any noise. However, historically, there have been very few instances of more public refusal. Okay, so have been a few public refusals. Means after name is okay. So for instance, historian Romila Thapar refused to accept the Padma Bhushan award, Padma Bhushan twice in 1992 and later again in 2005, stating that she could accept awards only from academic institutions or those associated with professional work. Former Kerala Chief Minister and Lion of Indian Communist Movement EMS Namudripat declined the award in 1992. Okay, because it went against his nature of philosophy. Swami Raghunathananda declined the award in 2000 and it was conferred to him as an individual and not to the Ramakrishna Mission to which he was presenting. Fine. There have also been a few instances when the award has been returned recently. Punjab Chief Minister Prakash Singh Badal returned his Padma Vibhushan in 2020 in the wake of the raging farmers' protest in the state. Okay. So annulment of the Padma Awards, while extremely rare, the President of India can cancel someone's Padma Award in case of any egregious misconduct committed by the recipient. Recently, This issue came up when medal-winning wrestlers and Padma Sri Awadi Sushil Kumar was implicated in a case of murder. So discussion to annulment of this particular award. Then the last one is about the Monument Mitra scheme. The Monument. Okay, so this revised scheme, so okay, the Monument Mitra scheme, which entitles adopting heritage site and maintaining it, will soon be remarked to enable private firms to partner for the upkeep of 1,000 ASI Archaeological Survey of India's protected monuments. One of the significant provisions in the revamped version of the scheme, a heritage site or part of that historical building under the jurisdiction of the ASI, which functions under the Culture Ministry, may be handed over two or multiple bidders. This revised scheme will be led by Culture Ministry. The previous scheme was led by the Tourism Ministry. Options will be available to individuals to take up entire property or just one or part of it. Companies shortlisted to be Monument Mitras include companies from the hospitality industry, travel industry, banking industry, and even an international school. This basic and advanced amenity of the tourist destinations would be taken care by the respective private entity under the corporate social responsibility activity. Fine. And about the scheme, the project aims to develop monuments, heritage, and tourist sites across India by inviting corporate entities, public sector companies, or individuals to adopt them. The monument are separated into three categories depending upon tourist footfall and the visibility. Fine. Green iconic sites like the Taj Mahal, Qutub Minar, Red Fort, among others are categorized as green. Blue, Purana Killa, Jantar Mantar for the blue category. Orange, Sanchi Stupa is one popular site of the orange category. Entities are encouraged to adopt from the blue and orange category or a mix of the three. Adoption of only green category monument is not allowed. Okay, because they are of most important iconic heritage. Fine. No doubt this will facilitate the government to involve the private sector, corporates in the schools and other institutions in the protection of the historical monuments protected by the archaeological. So that will be there will be no unified. So inheritance law in India presented deeper control and are rooted in the inequality and oppressive caste system. Discuss inheritance law. So how the property are inherited from generation to generation. The law on this. Okay, so inheritance law in India find their roots in the diverse religious belief of the different communities. Hindu are governed by the 2005 Hindu Succession Amendment Act, Muslim by the Muslim Personal Law, Shariat Application Act 37, Christians and Parsi by the Indian Succession Act 1925. The tribal group are still subject to customs. There is no unified body of inheritance law in India, and almost all personal law are notwithstanding the constitutional guarantee of equality of all matters inheritance right. So criminal law is same, but coming to personal law, they are different. Okay, so that your legal provisions, that civil laws are same, but the personal law are different from community to community in India. Issue of inequality within the inheritance law, lifelong stigma. Due to the social stigma attached to Dalits, tribal, widow and even the unmarried, women from these groups largely have no right to property. Caste system still governs land ownership. Rules led by the Manusmriti for property ownership continue to echo today. For example, some 400 castes across Gujarat demanded that the government lawfully deemed that if any daughter marries outside their her caste according to her wishes, she would not legally inherit any personal property or parental property. Problem in the Muslim personal law. Under Muslim personal law, women's shares are less than men's. It is general practice that female are given a share equal to half of the shares of their male counterpart. Okay, in Muslim law. Technical and legal gaps. Although the that HSSAA provides for equal rights in property ownership, awareness about the land rights and the various documents and processes required to get their names registered in the property paper remain largely absent among women. The process of filing for succession is tedious and require women not only prove that her father, husband, brother is dead, meaning a great death certificate that women often do not possess, but also to procure two witnesses who own her can vouch for her as related to the deceased. In case of dispute, the owners to prove ownership of the property is usually on the woman. A confusion about the inheritance of agricultural land. In certain states, inheritance of agricultural land is governed by personal law, while many other states are silent on the matter. Most states give primacy to male linear descendants as successor to agricultural land in a matrilineal system, and women come very low in the order of devolution. To ensure gender equality in inheritance, a gender review of all laws, including personal law, state law, customary law, is a necessary first step. Intensive effort are needed to sensitize various stakeholders such as political leaders, bureaucrats, and judicial officials towards accepting women's claim as lawful and just. Equality enshrined in legal instruments could pave the way for women to assert their rights and empower them amid complicated social context. Okay. Then coming to the MCQs, with reference to digital payment, consider the following statement. Bhim app allow the users to transact money to anyone with UPI enabled bank account. While a chip PIN debit card has 4 factors of authentication, Bhim app has only 2 factor authentication. That is not correct. It is an Indian mobile payment app developed by the National Payment Corporation of India (NPCI). It is correct. So 1 and 3 are correct. Answer is C. So no, answer is 1 and 3. Consider the following statement with respect to radiation. Radiation that is given off by nuclear waste is extremely damaging to organisms. Nuclear waste is not a potent pollutant and can be dealt with any caution. Radiation causes mutation at very high rate. At low doses, nuclear radiation is lethal, but at high dose, it creates various disorders. In this case, both 1 and 3 are only correct, but not 2 and 4. Following statement in respect to the Bharat Ratna and Padma Awards. Bharat Ratna and Padma Awards are titled under the Article 18(1). Okay, so it is incorrect. They are not titled. They can also use the titles. Padma Awards, which were issued in the year 1954, are suspended only once, not twice. They are suspended for a long period. The number of Bharat Ratna award is restricted to maximum 5 in a particular year. No, there is no such limit. So all the three are incorrect. One, two, three. Answer is D. With reference to T1 settlement, consider the following. China is the only market of significant size and scale which operates on a certain settlement cycle. In context of Indian foreign portfolio investment, we benefited from the new regime because of the difference in time zone, especially for the US and the European investors. Here, only okay. So only two, one is correct, but two is incorrect. So option will be two only because they will not benefit. If they will be, that's why they're complaining. There will be problem. Because the following statement regarding monument mitra scheme. The scheme applies to all centrally protected heritage properties. It was stated under the Ministry of Culture in respect of monuments under the Archaeological Survey of India. Corporate entity may take over the monuments as part of their corporate social responsibility. Okay, here. So only two each uh, incorrect is two, but one and three are correct. So answer will be D. With reference to the Aditya L1 mission and the following statement, it is India's first solar mission. It under the mission, the study of sun's corona solar mission, solar wind and flash flares and coronal mass ejections are to be conducted. Okay, so this is the first mission of India to sun. So both one and two are correct. Okay, so Itikopakka, wooden toy craft, often mentioned belong to Andhra Pradesh. Okay. Then the principle of leaving no one behind, often heard in news associated with which of the following? It is the Sustainable Development Goal set by the United Nations General Assembly in 2015 to be completed by 2030. So 17 goals set by the UNGA with reference to M1 Abram tank. Answer the following. It is a third generation American main bottle tank. Indian Navy has been using the export version of the particular tank. So only one is correct, two is incorrect. Okay. Then with reference to Lagrange points, answer the following points. At the Lagrange point, the gravitational pull of the two large masses precisely equals the centripetal forces required for a small object to move with them. These points in space. Okay, this is correct. These points in space can be used by spacecraft to reduce fuel consumption needed to remain in position. This is correct. Both one and two are correct. Answer is C for this. Right.